Thank you so much for taking the time. My name is Rohan from Hindustan Times. First of all, congratulations on the movie.
Thank you so much.
And I heard you guys had a success party recently. How was that?
It was very, very good. It was very, very, I mean, because I think the film was such a tough film to make, and in terms of, because it's, as you can see, it's shot in entire, it's one of the first films that's shot so extensively in Kargil. In fact, I think Article 370 was announced when we were going to start filming there. So, the filming, the toughest portions were actually under the most toughest of times in that sense. But yeah, so the party was really great because you had the chance to, I mean, just sit back, enjoy, and soak in all the love that's been coming to us since the film has released.
I really enjoyed the battle sequences in the film, and I thought that was very, very well done. I genuinely thought it was very well done.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but so my question to you is, earlier if Shershaah was a theatrical release, you would have like a metric to quantify the success. Uh, and I've asked this to so many people who've released films on streaming. Uh, Obviously, I think that is a metric. You have viewership numbers, etc. But then, what is that an equivalent of box office, or are you looking more intensely at the reviews or the audience reactions now?
Good question, Juan. I said you're right. I mean, there is no with box office, you have a metric of what the box office number is, and that doesn't happen on OTT platform. But I think what really what sets the platforms apart, whether it's Amazon Prime or any of these platforms, is their width and breadth, in terms of the release. And I think with Amazon Prime, it's of course been much more extraordinary because we've released the film in 240 countries and territories across the world, which never happens with the theatrical release. With the theatrical release, you're able to release 70, 80 countries in the beginning and maybe a few more later on, through dubbed releases. So the ability to reach out to such a large portion of the world at one go, across demographics, across languages, across cultures, is only possible with OTT. So I think the fact that we were able, one of the key indicators for us is that the film is resonating with the 8.9 rating on IMDb, which is the highest, which makes it the most popular original Hindi film. Now this kind of rating is only possible if audiences across the world have seen the film, because we have so many people who watch Indian content outside of India. The Indian diaspora, the others, you have so many other territories, be it Malaysia, Singapore, UAE, Australia, New Zealand, all of them, where there's an Indian diaspora, is a large population that also enjoys Indian films but doesn't necessarily speak the language. But they enjoy, because the second generation Indians, or people of other cultures who love Indian stars, Indian films, but they are not able to speak the language so proficiently. I think the fact that such a high IMDb rating has happened is purely because of the fact that we've had an OTT release, where this kind of number has happened, which shows that, nearly 50 to 60% of the love for the film has come from outside the country, which is so heartening, because that means you've actually reached out to so many people across the world at a time, which when, obviously there is, with all of that's going on, it's such a heartwarming story, as you said yourself. So I think it's worked very well in that sense. And I think that for us is the biggest thing, that there's so much love from all across the globe, not only India. India, you would understand it because it's an Indian story. It's a story of an Indian national hero.
Yeah.
But there's so much love coming from everywhere else. That's only possible through a wide release.
I was very surprised a few years ago when I learned that 2 out of 3 viewers of Sacred Games were from outside India, and they had data to support that. And I was very surprised by that. So I'm wondering, with Shershaah, since it's getting such wide appreciation from the fans, was there like some data point that you saw that kind of surprised you? Oh, in this country, people are really taking to the story.
Yeah, so I think that data is still kind of being, it's the film is still 10, 15 days old, so the data is still being accumulated. But I think we do know that nearly 50% plus viewership has come from outside the country.
That's amazing.
So that's amazing. That is amazing. Like I said, that is what resonates with the 8.9 IMDb rating. And of course, like I said, the messages that you're getting from friends and family across the globe, and their friends and family who are reaching out to our friends and families, it tells you that the film has resonated and broken all barriers and appealed to everyone across the country. across the world, rather.
The company has had a relationship, with Netflix for so many years, and I was curious to know why this film went to Amazon.
So I think that was, it was not something, it was just, really, this is a conversation we're having for a while, and it kind of, for us, the commercial understanding with Amazon was far stronger. So we decided to go with Amazon. We have a lot of other content going Netflix also. So it's not, it's not one against the other, With this particular film, the commercials are working better with Amazon, and hence we went here.
Did you wait as long as you could and then make this decision to?
Yes, we did. In fact, the film was ready for release before the first pandemic. We were looking at in June of 2020. So it's been more than a year that we've been holding on to the film, and I think it really fell down because we have partners, you have stakeholders, and even for ourselves, we were very clear that we wanted the film to have a grand release, and I think we're thankful to Amazon Prime in terms of really marketing and pushing it like any theatrical release you would see in the country. And we needed to we were keen on coming on the 15th of August week because the film resonates with the independence in some sense. There is a certain feeling of patriotism that runs across the country, and it couldn't be better timing for the film. So I think in all those factors, it made sense to kind of release the film. And of course, the theaters, you've been seeing the collections of some good films I've been releasing right now. So it really didn't make sense. I think people are still too scared. So it was the right decision.
You were talking about the Independence Day weekend. That's certainly a very important factor. I'm curious if, for instance, the pandemic had not happened and Shershaah had released opposite Bhuj, would it be a similar situation, or do you feel that both those films releasing on OTT kind of bifurcated their audiences in a way so that they didn't cannibalize each other?
If we had not released, if there was no OTT, we would have released in June of 2000 on Kargil. We were looking at Kargil Day, I think, as a release date. So we would not be conflicting with Bhuj in that sense. But having said that, with two films, I think every film has its own audience base, so it's not like, it's not like one film will cannibalize the other. Of course, the one that is larger will get more eyeballs initially. But I think on a platform like OTT, it doesn't matter, because, if the film is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it just doesn't matter what you watch first and what you watch second. It's about what you love more.
I think that's true because I think initial reactions kind of factor in more when you're on OTT, because then people kind of get an understanding of, if you have, even if there is a choice, then you kind of get an understanding of, okay, I want to spend my 2 hours doing that instead of that, and the better film will be watched, even a week later or a year later or 2 years later.
No, we are still getting messages every day. I just got a warm message today from a friend in America. He said that, hey, I just watched Shershaah yesterday, which would be Thursday night. Yeah, today's Friday, correct. So I just Shershaah last night. I think it's one of the best films I've ever seen. So, there you go. It's been now 10 August. We released on August 12th, and today's August 27th. So 10 days down the line, there's an audience base who's seeing the film, loving it, talking about it. So that's the big strength with the OTTs, that you're able, the film is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And there's nothing better than word of mouth. There's no better endorsement.
There's no endorsement than word of mouth. Absolutely.
So I want to also ask you, watching the film, it feels like it was meant for theaters. There are certain scenes that feel like, oh, yahan par, log taali maarte. And there's obviously like the structure of it is very theatrical. So I was wondering, once the decision was made to go on streaming, was there ever a discussion or was it implemented that certain changes be made to suit a streaming release?
We would never do that, because for us, content is king. We would never mess with the content. Like I said, the film was made for theatrical, and we didn't compromise on the VFX or any of the post-production, because we are very clear that the viewer is the same. It doesn't matter whether he's watching it on the small screen or the big screen. He needs to enjoy the experience as he would on the big screen. So as a company, I think Karan is such a strong creator. He would never do that, and we would never do that to any director who works with us, because the reality is that, we worked so hard on making the film. It's been made under such a tough terrain. You've seen the sequences are so strong, they're so powerful, and they've been shot in such rugged terrains. Why would we want to compromise anything that we have done with so much painstakingly, which we put together so painstakingly, So no, we would never do that. This film, whether it releases on the theater or OTT, it's the same. There's no difference.
All
There's
right. Yeah.
no change of any kind.
What I also admired about this film, and I'm sure a lot of people are saying this, and I have actually read a lot of people saying this, is that it kind of avoids doing the jingoism.
Correct.
And I think that deserves to be appreciated and highlighted. And certainly I'm going to do that and appreciate it. But then it has to be a deliberate decision, right?
Yeah. No, I think you're right, Rohan. I think basically, I think we heard that a lot, the voice of jingoism, because I think, when you're doing a biographical film doing a true story, it's really important to stick to the narrative. It's really important that there is precision in your research and in your storytelling. So for us, that was very, very important. Vikram Batra, as you see, the film itself is a very flamboyant character. He's very passionate, whether it is for his love or for his country. So really for us, there was no need to deviate from any of that. It was his story, and it has such amazing arcs in it in terms of his passion, be it for Dimple, or be it for his country, or be it for anything, or his family or friends. So it was very important for us to stick to that narrative and ensure that we really project what he is, because he's such a big hero. I mean, his story itself is so heroic. It needs nothing else.
Yeah. And I appreciate that about, last year, even Gunjan, both films. And I feel, Kapoor, going back as far as Kapoor and Sons, like all progressive minded stories. So I appreciate that. Now that we know that, streaming, the potential of streaming has kind of been gauged to a sense. People talk about how, in theaters, there's going to be mostly event-driven films are going to dominate because of just simply logistics, etc., etc. But I also think that there's going to be another category of movies that are event-driven, but made for streaming.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you, in the last year or so, since the company has been kind of making stories for the internet, what has been the learning, and what are changes that you've kind of decided to implement going forward?
So, I think, like I said, we have Dharma and Dharmatic, we have two companies. So Dharmatic essentially is our sister concern, who essentially focuses on making content for the OTT platform. So I think at our end, once we read a script itself, we can understand, okay, because there are some topics that are very niche in that sense, and you're not able to justify making a theatrical release on those topics, because, the audience base itself is restricted, but they are still amazing stories to tell. So you want the ability to be able to do both, make theatrical films as well as make films with such strong content, but not necessarily appealing to a very large base. So you have that flexibility through this, and we are not consciously deciding like we want to make this film for OTT and this film for theatrical. The idea is to start making a film, and as you go through the journey, you will decide. For us, Shershaah, Gunjan were all meant to be theatrical films, but of course, we are living through very uncertain times, and we didn't have the ability to hold on to that content for various reasons, because of partners, stakeholders, financial issue, the investment that is there in the film itself. So I mean, it's not like we're consciously deciding that. I mean, some of it is driven by what suits a theatrical release, what suits an OTT release, it depends on the budget, depends on the cast, depends on the kind of content that you're making. So it's not, I mean, we're not working, we're just making to make stories. I mean, that really becomes a second step.
Sir, appreciation is all wonderful, and we all like it. But I would want to know, what is the company's reaction to criticism, for instance? When you get criticism, what are the discussions that are had?
So, I mean, we get a lot of criticism. I think we are. I mean, I won't say. I think with it comes with the territory. When you're in a successful, you also have a responsibility in that sense. So. You have more people, who are expecting more from you. So criticism is bound to come. So I think for us, it's a learning. We've had films that have not done well, but we are still very proud of having made them. We've understood what is not working there, and we are trying to ensure that we don't repeat those mistakes. But having said that, this is a creative business. It's very tough you just go with an instinct of what you believe will work and not work. And then the rest you leave to the audiences. So it's very tough to kind of say beforehand that this film will work, this film will not work, because you just don't know. But you read a story, you see how it works for you, how it attaches you, how it kind of engrosses you, and you go ahead with that decision.
I really appreciate you saying that you're proud even of the films that don't work, because so often we see people throw the films under the bus if they don't earn certain amounts of money. That's very unfortunate. But thank you so much for taking the time. I'm not going to keep you for too long. Congratulations on the movie again.
Thank you so much, Rohan. Thank you. Pleasure. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And all the best. Look forward to whatever's coming next. I'll be there.
Yes, lovely. Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure.
हम तैयार हैं जनाब।
जीत अपनी, माता की